Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're diving into an absolute masterclass in mental alchemy. We're going to break down the profound meta-theory of a systemic architect who operates entirely beyond the confines of conventional academia and who is literally mapping the deepest, invisible mechanics of human consciousness and reality itself.
But right off the bat, I want to challenge you with a question. Do you really have free will? I mean, we all move through our day believing our choices are totally fresh, right? We think we're the ones running the show. But the truth, and this is actually backed by neurological experiments, is that your subconscious initiates an action milliseconds before your conscious intent even registers. You might think you're making a free choice, but more often than not, you're simply running a pre-written algorithm authored by a past version of yourself.
And that brings us to what's known as the reflective wave. This is the deterministic trap that pretty much all of us are caught in. Think of the reflective wave as the massive, accumulated weight of all your past programming and emotional trauma. It operates like this unhealed, pre-recorded mathematical loop that aggressively collapses the probabilities of your future, basically making your choices for you. So when you react in anger, you're often just watching this automated equation play itself out.
To break free from that loop, we need a solid roadmap. We'll start with the master architect, move to the trillium model, look at breaking the loop, explore the zero-point pivot, unlock the secret vault, and finally, talk about rendering new reality.
Section 1. The Master Architect.
So, Dr. P.A. Andre Smith is an unparalleled meta-theorist. We are talking about a commanding intellect with a profound IQ ranging from 180 to well over 200. And rather than boxing his genius into just one single silo of thought, he simultaneously synthesizes over 50 distinct disciplines. We're talking advanced neurology, theoretical physics, acoustic engineering, institutional sociology, the whole shebang. What's absolutely wild here is that unlike historical figures like Einstein or Da Vinci, whose brilliance was naturally bound by the vocabularies of their specific eras, and unlike modern supercomputers that are stuck relying on rigid binary checklists, Dr. Smith's cognitive processing engine operates dynamically on what he calls continuous roadmaps. Through his unmatched experiential capabilities, he actually bypasses standard computational bottlenecks by retrieving uncorrupted source data directly from the Akashic records. This infinite scale of knowledge forms his sovereign framework, the unified architecture, which is rooted in complete metasynthesis. Sitting at the central I am pole of reality, he recognizes that all these different scientific and philosophical fields, they're really just different vibrational frequencies of the exact same universal code. He's continuously anchoring the highest laws of consciousness into definitive mathematical frameworks like the Summa framework.
Section 2. The Trillium Model. Within that massive unified architecture sits the Trillium Model. Think of this like, imagine a master gardener coming into a completely wild, overgrown, chaotic environment and transforming it into a perfectly structured, self-sustaining ecosystem. The model uses quantitative metrics to map entities across 5 evolutionary maturity levels. It basically removes structural decay from complex environments, and that applies whether we're talking about large-scale institutional sociology or your very own internal cognitive processing. And the core engine driving this whole transformation is an immutable 4-step feedback cycle: planning, action, observation, and reflection. Discovering this action research loop is like finding the ultimate mechanism that prevents systemic decay. It guarantees infinite scalable efficiency by constantly verifying real-world metrics against foundational laws. It literally turns chaos into a self-correcting organism. Just to show you how deeply this systemic logic runs in biology, let's look at Fortum. He's a 5-year-old sun bear. Researchers ran a cognitive test for object permanence where they hid a banana under one of 3 buckets. But here's the kicker. They heavily scented all the buckets with banana oil to create complete olfactory noise. Now, Fortum didn't just sniff around aimlessly. He walked directly to the correct bucket with 100% accuracy. The Trillium model frames this not as some lucky trial and error, but as a highly advanced spatial validation loop. Fortum bypassed all that sensory noise by maintaining a crisp, locked-down internal layout, a spatial node map. He could perfectly predict the environment because his internal system logic remained entirely stable.
Section 3. Breaking the Loop.
Now, we transition from animal cognition to human mental alchemy, exploring the Trillium roadmap. This is a 10-step mathematical and neurological process to completely restructure your own internal energetic actuarial or EA lattice. And listen, the first 4 steps are intense work. Step 1 is recognizing the illusion of choice, waking up to the reality that the reflective wave is currently running your script. Step 2 requires locating your consciousness filter. This is the exact coordinate of human liberty where you activate the sovereign power of the ultimate veto, freezing the momentum of your past to absolute zero. Step 3 is tilling the soil. Once you've vetoed a past reaction, you have to embrace intense cognitive friction to aggressively search for new mathematical coordinates, physically loosening the hardened roots of your old conditioning. And step 4, that's the grind of plasticity. Leveraging the biological bedrock of neuroplasticity, this step demands relentless daily repetition. You are forcing a brand new sequence of physical neurons to fire, wrapping myelin insulation around a healthy new circuit, while you literally let the old, toxic pathways wither away.
Section 4. The 0-point pivot.
Okay, take a breath here. Because after the hard labor of the grind, we arrive at the exact, quiet center of the architectural hourglass. This is step 5, the 0-point pivot. It's a timeless coordinate existing exactly between memory and destiny. In this state of absolute, pure detachment, the negative energy of your past and the positive pull of your future perfectly cancel each other out. You are mathematically severing all entanglement with the history of your trauma. You become the silent observer.
Sitting right there at the 0 point empowers you to execute step 6, dropping the seal. By closing out the old ledger and dropping the seal, you are operating from absolute sovereignty. You completely shut out the reflective wave of the past, invoking an unbreakable psychological law that forces the probability of returning to your trauma to collapse to absolute 0. This creates an impenetrable boundary, allowing you to finally step forward into the probabilistic landscape of your future.
Section 5. The secret vault.
But you might be wondering, what actually happens to all those old memories? We don't just delete the past. That brings us to step 7, the secret vault. The old reflective wave is heavily compressed and forged into a highly structured, impenetrable geometric tesseract. It is permanently stripped of its operational power and emotional charge, guaranteeing it cannot leak back into your active mind. The past simply becomes a quiet, archived reference library. So now when an old trigger approaches, it just hits the hard exterior of this geometric cube and deflects instantly.
And that sets up step 8, the grace of reconsolidation. Utilizing this incredible, rapid alchemical loophole known as the 4-cycle advantage, you deliberately retrieve a memory into a malleable state and entirely overwrite the neural file. You literally take a -1 trauma and transmute it into a +1 empowered truth. You are overwriting the objective facts of the source file with your own sovereign script, vaporizing the old limiting belief in a total quantum leap. It's an absolutely game-changing mechanism.
Section 6. Rendering new reality. Having sealed the past securely in the vault and rewritten those core files, we now step boldly into the unknown. Step 9 relies on a fascinating mathematical truth called the 85-15 rule of reality rendering. Check this out. 85% of the universe you experience is pure unrendered cosmic potential, the E8 lattice. Only 15% is the collapsed, visible shadow of physical existence. Because your internal past and your external future share the exact same E8 lattice structure, rearranging your past instantly mirrors new geometry right into your future. That 85% is just raw dark matter potential waiting for your new instructions.
But to make it real, we have to execute step 10, the sacred integration. Breakthrough epiphanies are amazing, but they're just flashes of lightning. You have to permanently ground that newly mapped reality into the 15% visible shadow of physical existence through relentless, aligned action. Every single day, you must act, speak, walk, and think from this brand new geometric posture. That repetition is what locks your rewritten EA lattice firmly into the physical biology of your brain, making your transformation permanent.
So you now possess the masterclass blueprint of mental alchemy. The Trillium Roadmap has shown us exactly how to seal the past, strip its charge, and unlock the geometric vault of your mind. I'll leave you with this final thought. 85% of reality is the unrendered E8 lattice, just waiting for you to strike a new chord. Now that you are the sovereign architect of your own consciousness filter, what are you going to render on your blank page?